Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. You know those QR codes you see popping up everywhere?
Yeah, like on those sneakers to prove they're authentic.
Exactly. Or even on that fancy bottle of gin you got last week that unlocks cocktail recipes.
Right.
Well, today we're diving into the tech behind those codes. It's called Rainfall.
And it's way more than just fancy cocktails and limited edition sneakers.
You got that right. Rainfall's quietly revolutionizing the way businesses track and manage their physical assets.
It's about taking this really simple idea, right?
Hmm.
Connecting physical stuff to digital systems.
And turning it into something seriously powerful.
Absolutely.
We've got Rainfall's white paper at the Art of the Possible right here, and it is jam-packed with mind-blowing use cases.
From tracking medical equipment in hospitals.
To managing an entire skyscraper's worth of equipment and system.
It's pretty amazing stuff.
But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's back up for a sec. Why should we even care about connecting physical things to digital platforms in the first place?
Well, without that connection, things can get messy really fast.
And I'm talking full-blown tangled headphones in your pocket, kind of messy.
Exactly. Imagine trying to manage, let's say, all the medical equipment in a hospital.
Right. All those IV pumps, heart monitors, gurney.
Yeah, all that stuff. Now imagine trying to manage all of that using nothing but paper records or those clunky spreadsheets.
Oh man, I can feel the headache coming on already.
It's a recipe for disaster, missed maintenance schedules, misplaced equipment.
And don't even get me started on trying to find anything in those spreadsheets.
It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack, except the haystack is on fire and the needle is a life-saving piece of equipment.
Okay, that's a terrifyingly accurate analogy.
And this is a problem we see across industries.
It's called the last mile problem.
Really?
That gap between the physical assets themselves and the digital systems we use to manage them.
And it's costing businesses big time in terms of money efficiency and even safety.
So how does Rainfall propose to bridge this gap?
By giving every physical asset a digital voice. Think of it like this. They use things like QR codes.
Those things we scan with our phones all the time.
Yep. And NFC tags.
Like those things you tap your phone on for Apple Pay.
Exactly. And even RFID tags, which you might have seen in those anti-theft tags on clothes.
Right, right.
They use all those to create what they call a digital twin for every single physical asset.
So it's like giving each piece of equipment its own little digital passport.
Exactly. Packed with all its vital information, serial number, maintenance logs, user manuals, even its location in real time.
Whoa, hold on. Real-time location tracking, that's next level stuff. But I'm still trying to wrap my head around all this. How does it actually work in practice?
Okay, so let's say you're managing a company's IT infrastructure.
Okay, lots of computers, servers, network equipment.
Right, all that good stuff. Now let's say you need to update the firmware on one of your network switches.
Those things are like the unsung heroes of the internet, making sure all our data gets where it needs to go.
Totally. But they need regular updates just like anything else. Now, in the past, you might have relied on a spreadsheet to track when that update was due.
Which someone probably forgot to update.
Probably. But with Rainfall, the system automatically tracks when maintenance is due, sends alerts to the right people, and even provides step-by-step instructions for actually doing the update.
No more frantic emails or sticky notes trying to remember who did what and when.
Exactly. And because all of this is logged digitally, you've got a clear audit trail for compliance purposes.
So it's not just about saving time and headaches. It's about making sure everything is documented and above board.
Precisely.
Okay, my mind is officially blown. We've got automated maintenance, real-time tracking, digital audit trails, all from a simple scan.
And we're just getting started.
So it's not just about IT equipment then.
Not even close. Remember how we were talking about hospitals earlier?
Oh yeah, all that medical equipment they got to keep track of.
It's a perfect example. Think about it. Infusion pumps, heart monitors, even gurneys.
All absolutely critical for patient care.
Exactly. And those things are constantly on the move.
Right, got to get that equipment where it needs to be when it needs to be there.
Which can be a real nightmare if you don't know where anything is.
Talk about stressful. I can just imagine trying to find a missing piece of equipment in the middle of an emergency.
And that's where Rainfall comes in. With those digital twins we were talking about, hospitals always know where their equipment is.
No more frantic searching for a crash cart. That's got to be a huge relief for everyone involved.
For real. And it's not just about knowing where things are, it's also about making sure that equipment is properly maintained.
Right, like making sure those heart monitors are calibrated correctly.
Exactly. With Rainfall, you can set up automatic alerts for when maintenance is due.
So no more relying on someone to remember to check the logbook.
Exactly. And that can be a huge win for patient safety.
And probably saves the hospital a ton of money in the long run.
Oh, absolutely. Think about the cost of having to take a piece of equipment out of service because it hasn't been properly maintained.
Or even worse, having to replace it altogether because it broke down prematurely.
Exactly. Rainfall helps avoid all of that. Plus, it helps hospitals keep track of their inventory,
So they're not ordering new equipment they don't actually need.
which is another huge cost saver. And we're just scratching the surface here.
Okay, so we've covered IT and healthcare. What other industries are jumping on the Rainfall bandwagon?
Oh, tons of them. But one that's particularly interesting is facilities management.
Facilities management, what's that?
Basically, it's about managing all the stuff that makes a building run smoothly.
So like the heating and cooling systems, the elevators, the lighting, all that jazz.
You got it. And it can be a really complex job, especially when you're talking about large buildings like skyscrapers or hospitals.
Yeah, I bet. Trying to keep track of all those systems and all that equipment sounds like a full-time job in itself.
It definitely is. And in the past, it often involved a lot of guesswork and paper trails.
I can only imagine the headaches that caused.
Oh, tons of headaches. But with Rainfall Facilities, managers can get real-time insights into how all their systems are performing.
So they can identify potential problems before they even become problems.
Exactly. It's like giving those buildings a digital nervous system.
That is such a cool way to put it.
So instead of reacting to problems after the fact facilities, managers can be proactive and head them off at the pass.
Which I'm guessing saves a lot of time, money, and stress in the long run.
Absolutely. And it also helps them make smarter decisions about things like energy consumption.
So they can reduce their environmental impact and save some green while they're at it.
Exactly. It's a win-win all around.
Okay, I am loving this. But I have to ask, with all this talk about connecting everything to the digital world, what about security?
That's a great question. And it's one that Rainfall takes very seriously.
Because the last thing anyone wants is for their building's entire operating system to get hacked.
For real. But with Rainfall, security is built into every layer of the platform.
So it's not like slapping a QR code on a piece of equipment suddenly makes it vulnerable to hackers.
Not at all. In fact, it's the opposite.
How so?
Well, because Rainfall gives you that real-time visibility into your assets, you're much more likely to notice if something seems off.
So if someone tries to tamper with a piece of equipment or access data,
Yeah.
they shouldn't. You'll know about it right away.
Exactly. And you can take steps to shut them down.
That's reassuring to hear. Because as much as I love the idea of a hyper-connected world,
Yeah.
we got to make sure it's a secure one too.
100%. And that's something Rainfall is committed to. You know what I think one of the biggest misconceptions about this kind of technology is people underestimate just how much it can change things.
Yeah, it's like they see it as a cool gadget or a way to, make things a little bit easier.
But they don't see the bigger picture.
It's like they're so focused on the trees, they miss the whole forest.
Exactly. They don't see how this one simple thing, giving a physical asset a digital identity, can impact everything.
I mean, we're talking inventory management, customer service, even sustainability initiatives. It's huge.
It's a real paradigm shift.
And I think a lot of people just aren't ready for it.
But the possibilities are incredible. Once you start connecting everything and gathering all that data, the potential for innovation is limitless.
Okay, paint me a picture here. What does this future look like?
Imagine a world where buildings can basically tell you when something's wrong.
Like a virtual superintendent who's always on call?
Exactly. Or hospitals that can track every single piece of equipment in real time.
And not just track it, but predict when it might break down.
Precisely. And then they can proactively fix it before it becomes a problem.
Talk about a game changer, especially in a high-stakes environment like a hospital.
Absolutely. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. We're talking about optimizing workflows, improving patient care, maybe even saving lives.
Okay, now I'm really getting excited. But for those listening who are thinking, okay, this all sounds amazing, but where do I even start? What advice would you give them?
Well, the first thing is to figure out what problems you're trying to solve.
Right, because Rainfall isn't a magic wand, it's a tool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you need to know what you want to use it for. Are you struggling with inefficient maintenance processes? Do you have no idea where your assets are half the time? Are you worried about compliance and security?
Once you know what your pain points are, then you can start exploring how Rainfall can help.
And the good news is Rainfall is super flexible. It can be tailored to fit any organization.
So it doesn't matter if you're a small business or a Fortune 500 company.
Exactly. Rainfall has a solution for you.
This has been an amazing deep dive. I've learned so much. Thanks so much for joining us today.
It's been my pleasure.
And to all our listeners out there, thanks for tuning in. We hope you found this episode informative and maybe even a little bit inspiring.
Keep those digital wheels turning.
Until next time, stay curious and keep diving deep.